Testing. Okay, so hi, I just want to welcome you to my studio. Today I want to share a little bit more about the seafoam collection, the soft seafoam collection, and talk about some things that I'm really passionate about. Going out exploring, like islands, treasure hunts, stories, mostly stories, peaceful beaches. So first I just want to introduce myself to those of you who may not know who I am. My name is Grace. I am an oil painter living and working in Nova Scotia, Canada. So those of you who have been sort of following my stories on Instagram a few weeks ago may have seen that I was dealing with a leak coming through the ceiling. Hi Studio 2 Art, it's nice to see you. We're just sharing about a story from a couple weeks ago when water was dripping through my ceiling, and at first I just put a bucket underneath it to catch all that liquid. And people have asked, oh, is it because it's been raining? No, the reason for that was because there was a leak in my bathroom, and gradually that leak that soaked through the ceiling became a crack in the ceiling, and then it became a hole. And that hole, it started opening up really fast, and I was really paranoid about the ceiling collapsing in on me. So having experienced that once before, and that was kind of terrifying. So what happened was a buddy came over and we tore up the ceiling. So no longer are we afraid of the ceiling collapsing, but in that little space above the ceiling, we found a time capsule. So let me just show you some of the items there. Some of you may remember, but there was like this little shark toy and a foam wizard and a foam elephant. So that was pretty interesting, and it was just the actual items itself. I don't think they're as important or as interesting as the story behind it, right? I think I don't know, maybe for you, Studio 2 Art, you've experienced this yourself, just when you were little, the idea of treasure hunts, it's just really fascinating. So I thought that was really interesting. And I remember some of you have messaged me about that, like Megan Carty. You can look her up, Megan Carty Art. She messaged me about having seen those little toys before in her childhood. So how does that tie back to my ocean paintings? Well, for those of you who are aware of the story, the legend of Oak Island, Oak Island is an island here in Nova Scotia, just south of Halifax, where the world's longest treasure hunt has been going on. And yes, it's still happening. It's been going on for over 100 years. Hey KG Ceramics, it's nice to see you. Maybe you can talk into this a little bit, since I believe you live in Halifax. We're just talking about Oak Island. And I actually haven't been to Oak Island. Maybe you have. Oak Island being the world's longest treasure hunt. And so when I first heard of this from somebody, I did not believe him. I was like, get out. There's no way that there's a 100-year-old treasure hunt that's still happening, right? Well, it turns out it's true. And some of the things about that treasure hunt that really fascinated me was the fact that as they were digging, they found coconut fibers, which if you are familiar with Canada, Northern Hemisphere, we do not have coconuts here. That's just not a thing. Hi Carrie, it's great to see you. How are you doing? We're just talking about Oak Island here. So coconuts. So that means that at some point, somebody from a warmer climate had come up to Nova Scotia and made the effort to bury coconut fibers into the ground. So how people started this treasure hunt was, I think it was two boys. They were out and about just playing, and they found a little dip in the ground. So they started digging, and they found a platform. And so they kept digging, And I believe it was every 10 feet, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't actually watched the History Channel about Oak Island because I don't have access to that channel. But every 10 feet they found another platform, and as they kept going down, they found new things, like the coconut fibers I was talking about. They found this stone with these hieroglyphs on it, but it's not a language that anybody knows. They had experts sort of try to decipher what the stone said, and the stone said, according to these experts, although people are not in agreement about it, somebody thinks that it says however number of feet below, $1 million are buried. Now, nobody has ever found $1 million, and also nobody has ever found gems. But sort of like what I was sharing about the time capsule in my ceiling, it's less, I think at this point, 100 years on. Hi Megan, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining. Maybe you can speak into Oak Island story if you know it. 100 years on, maybe there's no treasure there. Maybe it's just we like the thrill of the hunt, right? So anyways, people keep digging and digging. What's really interesting to me is after they reached a certain spot, even with today's modern technology, they haven't found the so-called treasure. Water started filling that hole, so some smart person decided to put dye into this pit to see where the dye goes out in the island, just to try to find out where the holes are and to plug up those holes. So anyways, I talked about Oak Island a little bit a few posts back on Instagram when it comes to this painting called Hold Loosely. And Hold Loosely, it's I've never actually been to Oak Island. I'm a few hours north of there, so I actually haven't had the experience to go check it out yet. So if you have, please let me know all about it. I'm a little bit obsessed. But Hold Loosely here, I share a little bit more about islands because I was talking about Oak Island, Sauble Island, which is another island in Nova Scotia, the only island with a pack of wild horses. And if you don't believe me, look that up as well. Fascinating. It also only has one tree. So all the makings of a good story, right? The other thing about this particular painting and the rest of these paintings is it's partly inspired by another island in Nova Scotia called Big Island. Now initially I thought it was called Pig Island, and there's a whole other story about that. I blogged about it. If you're interested, there's a link in my Instagram profile. You can click on it and check out the story of Big Island and the mystery behind that. So there's that. So Big Island is different from Oak Island in that it's, as far as I'm aware, it's not known to have treasure, although Nova Scotia, it was apparently a stop for pirate activity between the 1700s and I can't remember when it stopped. But who knows, maybe there's treasure on Big Island as well. Big Island is interesting because when I first arrived there, it just immediately became my favorite place on earth. It has this sense of mystery there that is, you know, it's a sort of mysterious island feel that you get when you're reading a book or when you're watching a movie. And so that's really interesting. And, you know, recently I found out about Victoria Island in BC. Victoria Island, for the longest time I thought Victoria Island was similar to islands in Nova Scotia where it's where you can walk around the whole island and it's a little bit more wild. But it turns out Victoria Island, I did a little Google Street Views of it, it's quite urbanized, it's quite built up, so very, very different from the islands we have here. So the mood's different. So with these paintings, I was really trying to capture that mood of Big Island. I went when it wasn't the height of summer. I went when it was, like it was a cooler day, cooler end of summer type day, and the rain clouds were blowing in. And despite the gray clouds, it still felt like a magical location where anything can happen, right? Like we're so accustomed to, our big box stores, and well, we don't really have big box stores in my town per se, but just like technology and everything, and it really pulled you back away from all that tech stuff and had you kind of consider the mystery in an area where anything can happen. You can dream and anything can happen. So I really love that about the islands here. Now, the other thing that sort of inspired these paintings is a calmer beach called Pumkat Beach, which is also here on the north shore of Nova Scotia. And Pomquet, when I went to Pomquet this summer, very, very low wind, no wind at all on some days. So the water was very calm, very flat. It was a sandy beach, the type of beach where you go to, put out a towel, read a book, that sort of thing. Like a really nice beach. Like, what do you think of when you think summer? So these paintings, like with my bigger piece over here, it really has that feel of Pomquet. It's a lot calmer, it's a lot gentler. And one person talks to me about how the reddish sand here reminds her of her grandmother's cottage, where her grandmother's cottage is here on the North Shore. It faces Prince Edward Island. And for those of you who have been to Prince Edward Island is known for its red sand, right? Red sand and green gables. But we have a little bit of that here too. But what's special isn't so much about the red sand, but about her memories to her grandmother's cottage, which I thought was really special. And then on a smaller scale, similar to this one, we have Whispering Swell, which also has a very calm summer feel to it. And Whispering Swell, as you can see, there isn't the same kind of crashing wave look as most of the other paintings. It's very gentle, just like a very soft breeze, so you just see a little bit of a swell there. And I was really trying to capture the sunlight shining off of a very calm ocean top. And so I'm not sure you can really quite see. It's a very gray day today. I have like a light on, but it's just gently highlighted on the top. And so that's Pomquet, right? Like that's those summery beach days that we all sort of think about as the sandy ones where you go and lie on the beach and just take a nap, that sort of thing. We see if there's somebody. Shauna, it's so lovely to see you. And Mama Bird is in the house. Welcome. So we just talked about Oak Island, treasure hunts, Big Island where it's a little bit more wild, and that type of wilder island invites you to dream. If there are special islands where you are, please let me know. I just find it so interesting, especially since this year I learned that Victoria Island out in British Columbia on the west coast of Canada is completely unlike Big Island here. You can't just walk around it in one day. Like it's very built up. So, that's another thing. Like for me, I moved here from Toronto, Ontario, where it is a city. It's very urban, and coming here was a huge change, and it just invited me to connect more with the land and encouraged me to use technology more mindfully, because we're always so connected, and being able to take a step back from that, the land here just really invites you to do that. It says slow down, it says you can dream a little bit, look at all the wilderness here, and it just feels like anything is possible. Like going back to like the whole feeling of treasure hunt, it's not so much about the treasure itself, but about how we can long and dream and chase after something, and that's a story, and everybody has that story. You have that story, I have that story. Stories are what really bring these paintings to life, I think. And I had somebody come in yesterday for a studio visit, and it was just so special to talk with her, because the paintings only have half a life with me. The paintings have more of a life when there's a connection with the other person. That's what I think really gives it life. So anyways, that's my whole thing about treasure hunts, Oak Island, Big Island / Pig Island, Pomquet. Thank you for joining me today. If you are interested in hearing more about Pig Island / Big Island, I do have a blog post about that, and you can check it out via the link in my bio. Nova Scotia just has these islands which are so fascinating to me, like with Sauble Island that has wild horses. So anyways, thank you again for joining me. If you have any questions about any of the art or if you just want to talk about islands, treasure hunt, that sort of thing, shoot me a message, because this stuff is really interesting and people deserve to know more about it. So I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your weekend and hope to chat with you again soon. Bye.